Welcome back to the Arbitress YouTube channel. Today we'll be learning how to make this beautiful high-low cape top. So we have the front part being the high part, while the back is the low part. It is very simple to make, and it is beginner friendly because it doesn't require too much sewing. Okay, so it is very simple, like I said, and it's versatile. If this is what you would like to learn, kindly stay tuned till the end of this tutorial. Thank you. You need to take the measurement of the area where you're going to be placing this cape so that you will know your radius. You use that measurement to calculate your radius. In this case, I'll be placing it on the shoulder, but not too low. So I'll be taking my tape rule around the shoulder like this, and then I'll take the measurement of where I want this to be. Okay, you can see that I'm placing it a bit high because in this case I'm not going to be putting an elastic to hold this for me, so it has to be really firm. So you have to be very careful when you're drafting this, so that, because if it's too slow, it means that cape will not stay on your shoulder, it will keep falling off, and you don't want that to happen. So that is why I'm taking it on the upper area like this, and then I want it to be as firm as possible. So I have around 37 and a half here, or 37 even, for my circumference, and I'll use that to calculate my radius. So I'll be using this African Ankara print for this project. And remember that this fabric is 45 inches in length. So I'll be teaching us how I'm going to be making this, so that I'll not need to add and to have any joining by the time I'm through with my tutorial, with my cutting. Okay, so now let's decide on how long we want this. So now our circumference is 37 inches, that like we just measured. The length I want for my front, that's where you want your cape to stop. I think I want around 17 inches for my front. You take that measurement from your shoulder to where you want it to reach, and I'll be adding 1 inch seam allowance to it, and that is going to give me 18 inches. And for the back, I can just add 10 or 15 or 20 inches to this, depending on whatever it is, that wherever it is, how high low. Remember, this is a high low cape, which means the front is higher than the back. So the front will be high while the back will be low. So how, depending on how low you want your back to go, that is how much you will add to this. So let's say I'm adding 10 inches to this, it's going to give me 27 inches. Or if I'm adding 15, let's say I'm adding 15, that's going to be around 32 inches, and I'll add 1 inch seam allowance to it, and that's going to give me 33 inches. So this is the measurement for my front length, and this is for my back length. So now to get my radius, I'll be using this circumference measurement where I'm going to be putting the cape, and I'll be dividing the 37 by 6.28. I'm sure we understand how to calculate all this by now, and that's going to give me around 5.9, which I'm going to approximate to 6 inches. But remember that I said that it is advisable for the cape to be shorter where you want to place it, so that it won't be falling off. So I'll be subtracting around 1 inch from these 6 inches that I have. So if it's too tight, I can still adjust it. It's easier for you to adjust, but for it to be too wide, you may need to start adding elastic to it so that it won't be falling off. So if I remove that, I'll have 5 inches. So I'll be using 5 inches for my radius. My radius is 5 inches. So now to calculate this, now my new front, for my front, which is 18 inches, I'll be adding my radius measurement to it to know the amount of fabric I'll need to fold. And then for the back, which is 33 inches, I'll be adding my radius to it also. So 18 plus 5 is going to give me 32 inches for the front, and this is also going to give me a total of 38 inches for the back. So this is what I'll be using to fold my fabric for both front and back. And I'll be using this Ankara fabric, and remember that Ankara is just 45 inches in length. So I'll be cutting this in a way so that we will not need to be joining to our fabric, and I will teach us how to do that. So this is the Ankara fabric now, and this is the selvage area. So I just folded it into two like this, and it's 45 inches, so it's going to give me around 22.5 inches, which is okay for my front. You can see after folding it into two, I have around 22.5 inches. So you can see what we have here. These are 22.5 inches. So now remember, the front I'm working with is 22 inches. That's the actual length for my front with the radius. So now I'll be folding this fabric using that 22 inches. Now I've folded my fabric into 4 now. I hope you understand the way I'm folding it. Like I want to cut a flare. Okay, so now I'm folding the 24 inches by the lowest part, which is the front, the 22 inches. Okay, so now let me just take us through the folding again. First of all, I folded it into 2 like this with the selvage. Then again, I folded it into 4, just like we fold our normal flare, using the shortest part, which is the front part, which is 22 inches. So we can see what I have here. I have around 22 inches here, and the rest that I have here is going to be for my back. So the front is the fullest part. The front part is where the flare is really full. The back part, the flare is not so full. So that is how I folded it by 4 here for the front, and the back is just folded here by 2. So part of the back, part of the front also will also be full. Remember, this will also form part, this part will also form part of the front, but on the hemline there is just going to be curved around that place like that. We understand this by the time we go on. So now we have our front measurement to be 22 and our back measurement to be 38, including our radius. So now on this sharp edge here where our folding points, the 4 points meet, I'll be measuring the radius of 5 inches. That I'm sure we understand how I got this 5 inches. So I'll measure that round for both front and back since they are folded together. So I'm measuring 5 inches round like this. So I have my radius like this, and then from there I can measure the length of my front, which is 18 inches in all. Okay, so I can either measure it from here or I can measure 22 inches from the radius here, so that it can be easy and equal for me. So the 22 inches is including the radius that we already took. So from here now I'm measuring 22 inches round for my front, and then I'm going to make that into a curve also. Okay, so I've marked these points for my front now. So now for my back panel now, from here, remember the back is 38 inches in all. So from this origin here, I'm going to be marking 38 inches down. So from up here now, I'll take my tape rule and then measure 38 inches for my length. So here I'm going to be measuring 38 inches like this, and then I'll measure it round to where the measurement stops. Remember, this ankara is by 45 inches, so you cannot really go round. So my 38 inches stops around here, and I'm just going to curve it there and then measure it and connect it all the way to this point. And that is all we need to do for our measurement. So now I'm going to use my scissors to cut this out. So I'll first of all cut the longer part, which is this, which is my 38 inches, and then I'll go over to cut the shorter part. But when cutting the shorter part, you will need to raise up the front part, so that you don't cut this back part with it. So once you raise it up, you just cut out your front like this, or you can just open the fabric out like this. Your markings will be there for you to follow. So once you open it out, so that you don't make mistake, you can just cut it out and then blend it to the back like that. So now after that, I'll fold it back and then cut out my radius, or you can just cut your radius first so that it doesn't mix up. So now I cut my radius, and then I have my front here, and then this long part is my back. You can notch this, but it's not necessary. So the next thing for us to do now is just to hem this with either a bias on the radius part. You can either hem it with a bias, or you hem it with a facing, and then here you can set it or also hem it, and your flare cape top is ready. So now when we open it out and turn it to the right side, this is what it's going to look like. You can see that the front part is going to be short, while the back part is going to be the long one. So to further add maybe finishing to this, you can just sew it here a bit, so you can bring out your hand from here, but it is not necessary, so that you can style it anyhow you want. So now we are going to be taking this to the mannequin so that we will see what it's going to look like. Okay, so this is the outcome of our cape top, and you can see how beautiful it is. And like I was saying, it is better for this to stay on your shoulder like this than for it to be too big, so that it will not be falling down. So by the time you finish it and you feel that you don't like where it's thin, you can increase it. So it's better for you to be on the safe side and have something short. And you can see the length that I chose for my front, and this is the length that I chose for the back. So you can see how lovely this is looking. You can make it as long as you want, whatever length that it is that you wish to use. And then you can also sew it on this side, so that you can just join it a bit, so that you have like a sleeve effect on this side. So here you just take it together and then sew it around here, whichever one you want. And this can also be styled anyhow. You can style it in form of an asymmetric, which is also known as a one shoulder sleeve. So it's a very versatile top, and it is really, really lovely. If this tutorial has been helpful, kindly let us know in the comment section. Click subscribe on our channel if you haven't, and like, comment and share. See you in the next one. Bye.